Hey, it's the Fish Guy. Welcome to the Fish Talk Bar for reviews and how-tos, simplifying aquarium ownership for you.
Hi, I'm Dan, and part of my job here is making sure that all of our animals are happy and healthy, and a big part of that is managing water quality. One important aspect of water quality with marine organisms is salinity, and there's a couple ways that you can measure that, and it's important to make sure that you have it on point and that you're replicating what the animals have in their natural environment so that they can thrive. So salinity in the ocean on average, depending on where you measure it, is around 35 parts per thousand, or 1.026 specific gravity. And you want to make sure that you're getting close to that in your water as well. So you have to make sure that you're measuring it regularly when you do your water changes and as you top off from evaporation, and just continue to monitor the health of your aquarium. So there are two tools that are commonly available to the hobbyist that you can use to measure these things, and that is a hydrometer and a refractometer. And each one has its own benefits and downfalls, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to use each one and what its perks are. So first, the hydrometer is an inexpensive way to measure salinity, and it lacks accuracy a little bit, especially if you're not sure how to use it properly, but it is an inexpensive way to get a good gauge of where your salinity is. How it works is you take your sample water from your tank and you fill it up here, trying not to spill as much as I am. And what it does is it measures the buoyancy of this little pointer here in the salt water. So if it is saltier, then the little pointer there will rise up, and if it's less salty, it drops down. One key thing to do with this to make sure that you're getting accurate results is to make sure there aren't any bubbles on it. So if you look closely here, there's a few bubbles on the bottom, which happens when you pour the water in there and it catches some air. And what you got to do is take it and knock it against a hard surface a little bit, gently so you don't damage the piece of equipment, but hard enough to get all the bubbles off, and then let it settle. When it stops wobbling, where that pointer lines up on the chart here gives you your salinity and your specific gravity. With refractometers, they are definitely a more accurate way to measure salinity. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are worth it, in my opinion. They're also easier to read, too. So how you use them is you get a little bit of your sample water, and there's a little panel here. You lift that back, put the sample water on there, making sure to cover the entire thing, so you don't want any air bubbles in there. And you close it gently. And what this does is it measures salinity by gauging how light refracts through the salt water. So saltier water will cause the light to bend a little bit harder than less salty water, and then when you read this, it shows you that in a visual manner. So once you have the water on there, you take it to a really bright light source, and take a peek through like a telescope, and you'll see a little chart in there, and that will tell you where your salinity lies. It is important that before you use this, you always want to make sure that it is clean. If you have residue on this from the last time that you used it, it can significantly throw off your results and make it look like you have a higher salinity than you truly do. And then, as with using salt water on any tools that have metal parts in them, you always want to clean it off, rinse it in fresh water when you're done so you don't cause any rust damage. One of the downfalls, or one of the things you have to remember about using a refractometer, is that it needs to be calibrated pretty regularly. So we do it about once a week here, and to do that, there is a little cap here that protects a screw that's hidden right there by the viewing panel. And what you do is you get a solution with a known salinity, so you can get something like this. And I already know that this has 35 parts per thousand salinity. So I take that, pour it on like I would a sample, and then I look through the measurement. And if it doesn't line up with 35 parts per thousand on this, you take a little screwdriver that comes with the refractometer, and you twist that screw there until your line that you're viewing is lined up exactly with 35 parts per thousand. And then you know that this is reading properly. We measure our salinity every time that we do a service here. So with reef tanks, that's once a week, and with saltwater fish only tanks, that's every 2 weeks. If your salinity is off, say that your salinity is high, you can add fresh water to bring it down. You're going to want to use RO water rather than tap water because it's better for the health of the animals. And then if your salinity was too low, you can use salts to raise it. One important thing to note is when you're raising it is that you want your salts pre-mixed. So take that salt and put it in some freshwater RO, get it all dissolved, and then pour that into your tank or into your sump, because you don't want salts to directly hit a fish because it can harm their gills. So you can use whatever tool that you want and just choose what fits in your budget and make sure that you're just using it properly. It's important to monitor salinity to keep your fish happy and healthy.
Education is one of the keys to simplicity in aquarium ownership. If there's a topic or a product that you'd like us to review and have a discussion on, let us know by commenting or direct messaging us. Check out our YouTube channel at YouTube/FishGuyTV. Give us a call at 877-FISH-TALK or drop us a line at support@somethingfishyinc.com. We look forward to connecting with you.